Hello, everybody, and welcome to tonight's coverage of the third season of the NASCAR Class C Maconi Setup Shop Fix Series. This evening, we're bringing you top split action in the weekly strength of field race from the virtual Kentucky Motor Speedway. Maconi Entertainment is here to bring you action from all types of racing, including the weekly Fast Friday series. No matter what you are racing, we can bring the action to life. My name is Alexander Balderas, and joining me in the booth is Brighton Laster, with DJ Lyon working the controls as our producers using cameras provided by the great Dougie Beard. Brighton, Kentucky is now a defunct track in real life that still offers some fantastic racing on iRacing. With that in mind, what can we expect to see here tonight?
That is track very unique, very fast, and very special in a lot of people's hearts. Like you mentioned, now defunct, but this place was special and put on so many great shows. I'm sure we're going to see one tonight. Turns are 14 to 17 degrees of banking. It's a 1.5 mile kind of cookie cutter shaped intermediate track. You can run towards the bottom. I'm sure we're going to see a lot of guys there tonight, but the top does offer some opportunity. We'll see who makes the most of it.
Hopefully proving to be a great race here from the newer version of Kentucky. As far as the schedule goes for the rest of this, got Rockingham coming up next week, and then Big Willow January 15th. Myrtle Beach, LA Coliseum, and leading into Chicago February 5th. Got a month full of 4 different types of racetracks, and it's going to be a great month of January as we see for the rest of this schedule. Point standings after Kern County at Kevin Harvick's Kern County in Bakersfield, California just last week, week 4 of 12. Jack Mace leads over Colin Bowden by just under 11 points. Then Justin Botello, Matt Kosher, Ryan Zimma, Colin Keister, Ryan Andrew, Ethan Eckert, Zachary Mears, and Dakota Long is your top 10 after week 4.
This points battle, I'm not going to lie, is heating up really good. Like you just mentioned, the entire top 5 guys are all within 40 points. That's only a couple of spots on track. And, we're only 4 weeks in, but that's a third of the way into the season. And this points battle is shaping up to be one of the best we've seen yet.
Absolutely. Just an 11-point difference for the top 2 spots. Sure to become a great, great battle. Now, we're getting ready to see the cars on track as all the cars are getting ready to grid. Brighton, do you think you have any thoughts before we roll off after we roll off pit road?
I mean, this whole schedule, this whole season has just been nothing but chaos and controversy. I mean, Michigan was nothing but, I don't want to call it a wreck fest, but I'm pretty sure almost every truck was involved in a wreck at one point. Talladega's always exciting. Then they went to Kern County last week, and nothing but some short track action there. And, Chicago, Willow Springs, Daytona, the LA Coliseum, there's just no certainty, no guarantees at any of these tracks. So you want to make the most out of something kind of smooth. The track at Kentucky, you can kind of set your own pace, set your own race, and try to finish and be there at the end.
Right, you are, Brighton. Supposedly Kentucky going to give us probably the longest green flag run we've had in this season, and maybe some of the others too. Hopefully we go for hopefully it's a clean race. Kentucky does bring up good racing, and what I think it does well is that it gives us a nice field spread. It really shows us who really knows the machinery when it comes to the truck and the track, and I think it's going to lead to some good racing between our top contenders. And, just for those who are unaware, for those who have missed our first few weeks of S.O.F. race coverage, this is iRacing's version of the cream of the crop, where all the top drivers expect to compete not only for race wins, but for the division championships and the overall title of this series. Maconi Entertainment brings you this series with Maconi Setup Shop being the face of the Fix series. And, Brighton, today, it's kind of a warm day. Track temp looking to be 98 degrees, a 78 air temp, and just 2-mile-per-hour wind speeds. As we see some trucks rolling off, getting ready to begin the pace lap here in Kentucky. Brighton. Now, we've seen a lot of great racing here at Kentucky. What do you think are some key strategies to win here today?
I mean, like I mentioned ago, this whole season's been a kind of a wreck fest per se. You want to keep your truck clean. That's the most important thing. We went to Michigan, week 1, and the biggest winning strategy there was survival. We saw some guys go from 1st to 20th and from 20th to 1st the entire race. Or, you get one spin, you drop back. over half a lap, and Michigan had a couple green flag runs, and those guys that fell back ended up going down a lap or two real early on. It's never made up for that. So being there, being clean, keeping your truck in one piece, and going for a move when you don't have to might not be the smartest choice you can make. So keeping your truck on one piece, I think, is the best strategy for some of these guys.
Keeping the truck clean in one piece and not getting into any beef on the racetrack. That certainly is a way to extend your performance throughout the race and hopefully get you to that fabled checkered flag. Pace car enters turn 3, and we've got a few familiar faces up front. Dakota Elong sits on pole. Then it's Nate Stewart and our own and Maconi's own Joey Mashowitz in third. As the pace car is going to get ready to take a dive off into pit road, we're going to get started for the next Maconi setup shop. C-Fixed S.O.F race here at Kentucky Speedway. Trucks roll around off at turn number 4, ready to roll into the Geico restart zone. And as we get ready to go green, they're going to come up to the Geico restart zone. And with the drop of the green flag, we are green from Kentucky Motor Speedway. We can see already a lot of these guys still being bunched up in a pack. We're seeing running double file. Joey Mashowitz looked to the inside. Nate Stewart able to make that inside lane work. He's still giving that best option on that second lane. You can see there even in the back, Jeff making some time up on that high side. These guys are really going to battle it out, and Nate Stewart is going to just barely steal it away from Dakota Long. He takes the lead off into turn 1.
Now, they were actually tied that last time by. Nate Stewart didn't get the greatest start he needed, fell back, and almost lost the position to Macevich, but took advantage of that high side through 3 and 4, the little bank in there, and made the move kind of work and lead that lap over Dakota Long. Still side by side, Dakota Long on the bottom, Nate Stewart up top. They're going to come around to round out lap 2. Looks like Nate Stewart still barely going to have that advantage, but not by much.
Nate Stewart is a familiar face we've seen throughout the top level of the iRacing series, running the college truck that he ran for the iRacing College Series. Also has done a couple of tries in Road to Pro as well. So we know that he can contend his way up here at the top of the field, and it looks like he's having a great battle with Dakota Long. Our pole sitter for today's race has tried making that bottom work, but really Nate Stewart is making the top side work, something I was not expecting coming into this race, and now he'll clear Dakota Long going down the front stretch.
It took him a couple laps to do it, but he does make the move stick. Finally, about a truck length advantage going into 1. Macevich about 4/10 behind these guys. In third, Jonathan Evans, not a truck we see or a driver we see very often here in the S.O.F races. In fourth, and Ricky Howard Jr. around at their top 5. These guys are kind of all close to each other, but they're not going too hard. They're not under a blanket per se. You're right on board. That's Jeffrey Maconi, right behind Ricky Howe. Started in 10th, up 3-4 spots into the 6th position now, and everyone's trying to start a single file.
A lot of these guys single file gonna file into the bottom lane. Nate Stewart has done a good job up front. Taking a look here in the middle of the pack, some of these guys still running side by side. And you gotta wonder, I know it's early, we've got 36 laps to go, and we've just barely started the run, barely 5 laps in. But with how stringent turn 3 is on your tires and how much they can wear, do you think that it's a good idea to be going this hard this early on in the race?
Well, you have to question and ask yourself, how hard are these guys really going? I mean, some are just better at saving tires than others, and they're able to go harder for a longer period of time and still maintain good pace on the long run if you get a long green flag run. But I mean, some of these guys are just pushing the limit, I feel like, and hoping for a quick caution, come down and get some of those tires waiting for them in the pits. They don't have too many sets, I believe only 2 in the pits, so, I mean, it wouldn't hurt necessarily if the guy caution came down, but you get late in the race, you have a ton of cautions, which is no guarantee. But looking at the pattern of the season, you almost want to bet on there being at least 2 or 3. I mean, playing a tire game at a track like this is not a wise move.
Riding on board the 2 of Cody W. Keller. Now, he was sitting behind the 9, and he was also sitting behind that Ryan Andrews machine in the 88. And watching from this far back, you can really see how Kentucky is a pretty good racetrack. Very wide, enough action for multiple lanes to be used. But at this stage in the race, I believe a lot of these guys want to take care of their tires for the long run, knowing that Kentucky really isn't that wreckfest of a track. A lot of the guys have a lot of field spread. And that's something a lot of these guys probably aren't used to right now with how the season has gone so far, especially coming off of Kern County and coming off of Dago Week too. These guys are probably closer to pack racing. And while there is a couple of these little packs, as well as Ryan Andrew making that top side lane work, and he will clear, a lot of these guys are used to really tight pack racing, and Kentucky doesn't offer that as much as we'd like to see. So a lot of this open field and open spread out racing is probably is a good chance for a lot of these guys to work on. And that's going to lead us to right now Ryan Andrew slots right in behind Jeff Maconi. And a lot of these guys so far trying to take it easy on the run, 32 laps to go.
Yeah, this battle for fourth has really been heating up the last couple laps. Ricky Howard Jr. currently the man in front in fourth position, but Jonathan Evans and Jeffrey Maconi less than 2 or 3 tenths behind him. As Jeffrey Maconi, look on the inside now of Evans. He might get the spot going in the one, but he's got Ryan Andrew, his Maconi setup shop truck friend, right behind him. Now also trying to make a move on to Evans as Maconi's going to clear Jonathan going into 1 through 2. Ryan Andrew trying to make the same move, monkey see, monkey do on the bottom, as this is going to give a little bit of wiggle room to Ricky Howe, give himself a little bit of a breather, 4 or 5 tenths, but here comes Jeffrey Maconi and Ryan Andrew in the Maconi setup shop trucks.
Now this duo has really made up a few spots here on this last run, and you know, we've been seeing these two guys chop up throughout this back half of the field. Not so good starting position, but they're really going to try and change that going into, you know, these next couple of laps, and they've chopped through and diced through about 4 cars behind them equally. And heading down the back, they're looking to chase up that front pack right now. Nate Stewart, still your leader over Dakota Long and that group up front. Haven't seen a lot of changes from them. Joey Maschowitz now just about a second behind our race leader. Nate Stewart just over half a second over Dakota Long. And it's been a steady race so far. You know, we've not seen a lot of these guys pushing too hard. And I think that's a key if they want to make it to victory lane.
Yeah, Ryan Andrew really showing his talents here. He was a strong competitor last season, ran up front constantly. He just had a rough start the first couple weeks here in this season. Ran strong at Michigan for the S.O.F race and got some damage, some trouble late there, and Talladega and Kern County just haven't quite gone his way, but really showing his former self. Like you mentioned, started 13th all the way up in 6th. Jeffrey Maconi 10th, is all the way up into 5th. Their top 4 pretty much all started there. The only difference is that 1-2 spot. Nate Stewart, still your leader, actually coming up on some possible lap traffic. It's not too far out, but it's might be mistaken here. I can't remember mistaken. That's my bad. But he might hit some lap traffic the way he's been going. He has about half a second, 6 tenths on Dakota Long. Not really pulling away too far from him. Dakota Long can still kind of smell what he had for dinner, but that gap is getting ever wider. 6 or 0.63 tenths at that time by, and Joey Masevich in third, 1.2 back. So Nate Stewart, kind of the man with a plan on a mission so far in this run.
On this run so far, 27 laps to go. And you can really see just how much Nate Stewart has really been able to get consistency. And I think that's one thing that these guys really can nail down here at Kentucky, because a lot of most intermediates are kind of forgiving, especially most of those with some off-throttle time. But Kentucky has a lot of on-throttle time, and especially throughout 1 and 2. So hitting your marks every single lap and being as consistent as you can is really something that you have to master if you want to be good at Kentucky. That two duo, Maconi setup shop boys, Jeff Maconi and Ryan Andrew, they've been trying to catch up to this topside pack, and it looks like it's been working. They're starting to reel in the 2, and then Joey as well. So making some moves and gaining some time. Jeff and his boys trying to rile up the leaders.
Yeah, Masevich is really struggling these last couple laps. You have to wonder if he's, burning his tires up. I can see Ricky Howard Jr. try and make a move going in the 1, really close the gap up there. Same with Maconi and Ryan Andrew. Masevich is really struggling, though. 2, 3, even 4 tenths slower than some of these other guys in the field. Nate Stewart, though, their fast truck by far, over 2 tenths quicker than Dakota Long, and 4+ tenths quicker than Joey Masevich there in third. So I'm not sure if he's just struggling on the middle run here, burn up his tires early on, but Masevich currently running third, but he's in danger definitely, as he's got Ryan Andrew, Maconi, and Ricky Howe trying to steal that spot like a pack of hungry hippos.
And you also gotta wonder, even with the iRacing Oval refresh, that's not going to do much against dirty air, and that's a topic we haven't really talked about here. And especially with the trucks and how much high downforce they have, dirty air is going to be a factor for sure. So the fact that Nate Stewart is leading, has all that clean air on his nose, is getting much better grip on his front tires, isn't sliding and burning them up as much, is really going to help his drive to save his tires as much as possible. And you can see it. He's out front right now, and he hasn't looked back since. After taking the position, Dakota Long 3 laps into the run. With 23 laps to go, just over about halfway done with this race already, and he has not looked back ever since.
Yeah, Nate Stewart, man, out front. Now over a second gap. You talked about that a second ago. I mean, that's kind of the doms you don't really see at an intermediate track like this. Michigan was, pretty close bumper to bumper action almost the entire race. Never really saw anyone get out front. Then again, that was more of a drafty type track, but this is the biggest gap I'd say anyone has had all season long. Everyone that took the green flag still on the lead lap from first to last. The Lewis Ettinger in the 21st, number 18 truck, currently 10 seconds off of Stewart, and then Jason Reagan in the 14 did not take the green flag. So everyone that started the race is still out here so far. No wrecks, no damage. Been one of our cleaner races as we are nearing the halfway point of this one. This one's gone by in a jiffy, and Nate Stewart, I'm sure, would love to see that checkered flag any second now, but he's going to have to wait just a little bit longer.
It's Maconi setup shop 4, 5, and 6, but they're going to change position. Jeff Maconi makes the pass on Joey Maschowitz, and now he's looking under threat by his other fellow teammate, Ryan Andrew, as well. So Joey not doing well on this run, really kind of struggling with those fronts. It looks like he's just been running a lane, trying to find any grip he can. And it doesn't look to be working as well as he probably thought, but the Maconi boys are really going up through this field.
Yeah, they really figured something out these last couple of laps. I don't know if they saved tires a little bit better than everyone else, or if it's just, all that practicing I'm sure they've been doing this past week. But Masevich was struggling a little bit there as he's falling back now in the 5th. Maconi, though, really figuring something out over, it seems, the other Maconi guys. Andrew trying to make a move now on Masevich. Should give it to him if I had to guess. There they go through 3. There's Ryan Andrew really hugging that yellow line, going drift up a little bit, pushing dirty air on Masevich's nose. Don't let him get that run. Masevich with a little bit of a run, running that high side throughout the entire corner. Going to get a push, actually, a little bit of bump drafting action here at Kentucky. Didn't think we'd see that tonight, but I'm sure it's teamwork's playing nice. But Jeffrey Maconi has now caught the back bumper almost of Ricky Howard. They're less than 2 or 3 truck lengths apart. And that gap is really closing. We might see Maconi start to put together a late race run, it seems, on Nate Stewart or even Dakota Long or even Nate Stewart, as Stewart has built up over a 1.5 second advantage. But I think we're going to need a caution for Maconi to really have a fighting chance here, but I think it might just be possible.
Teamwork makes the dream work. A lot of these guys working together, and that's no short of the Maconi boys. You can see they're right there, bump drafting, helping at Kentucky. Not something we usually see, but any help you can get your teammates, and it's starting to work. Maconi reeling in the number 2 truck as well as Ryan Andrew in tow. Joey might be dropping back a little bit, but helping the teammates get as much track position as they can is going to be great. Just 18 coming to 17 laps to go. Nate Stewart still your leader out front, and it's been no different so far. Nate Stewart has been out leading all this race, and this is really the first race this season we've seen this much field spread. And it's really showing how much guys can really take care of their tires and not rely on that draft to keep them up there in the front of the pack.
Yeah, someone that's not having such a great run. Jonathan Evans started 5th, was looking pretty strong early in the run, was running top 3, top 4 times, and has fallen back all the way to the 9th position. Is kind of fighting for his life as he has a huge pack of hungry hippos right behind him. He's got Sean Macklin in 10th, Joe Berge in 11th, J.R. Scruggs. You see the pack there on the screen? That's 7, 8 trucks, all single file, and they're getting huge runs on the straightaway on Jonathan Evans there in that truck, in that 12 brothers. Or it's number 12 Hunt Brothers pizza truck, and they're also catching the number 8 of Cody Keller, who started in 8th, so he's kind of minding his own business. But there is a huge pack of trucks here, all fighting kind of for that 10th spot. So this battle we're going to have to watch on top of everything else. I mean, they've been side by side, 3 wide even, for most of this run. As Sean Mackin now trying to make a move on Evans around the outside. This is going to get a little bit dicey as they're kind of both blocking back and forth. Macklin was a little loosey-goosey, wiggly-piggly coming out of the 4 there. And now you got Joe Berge trying to make a run on the outside. So these guys are acting like it's the last lap and they're going for the win. But they're already fighting for 9th, and we got 14 to go, 15 to go.
So coming to the end of the race, it flew by in a flash, and as Nate Stewart comes around the front stretch, he will take with 14 just laps left to go. Joey Mashwitz has also been passed, but those Maconi boys, Jeff has kind of slowed the roll a little bit, but he's still within striking distance of that number 2 truck. Ryan Andrew, as they go maybe for the swap, he goes down to the low side, trying to peek to the left quarter panel of Jeff, and it doesn't look like it's going to work, but he gained a lot of time by doing that in 1 and 2. And if he can have a good exit in 3 and 4, I think that might just seal the deal. Maconi, they're running the upper side lane, and it's going to give a good chance. And we've just been told that they're shifting, which is something I wasn't expecting here from Kentucky. But, you know, you can hear it dropping the RPMs, and you can also see the flame out of the exhaust for Jeff, too, as well. And shifting was not something I was expecting to see here in Kentucky. But with these drivers are the cream of the crop, and they're going to expect to find any advantage to fight over their competitors. Now, Nate Stewart coming to just 12 laps to go. And this race has gone by in a flash, Brighton.
Yeah, I talked about a little bit ago as we were right on board around Andrew. Andrew was one of the more talented drivers we saw last season. Just didn't quite have the start to the season he's going. Has been one of the quickest trucks on track the last couple of laps by almost a tenth. I think it's that shifting thing we were talking about. Maconi also very quick. These two have been on par, if not quicker than Nate Stewart. I don't think you're going to be able to catch him. Only a handful of laps to go. 12 that you just mentioned. You're right on board now with Nate Stewart. He has built himself over a 2-second gap on Dakota Long. Didn't have the greatest first 500 feet of the race, but pretty much checked out after that, as the battle seems to be throughout the rest of the field. I mean, we got Ricky Howe and Jeff Maconi kind of going at it. They've caught Dakota Long almost. They should catch him by the end of the race at the pace they're going. Ryan Andrews kind of falling in behind these guys, and see the gap there that Nate Stewart's built over 2.5 seconds now, give or take, as he is coming around to get 10 laps to go.
Just about 15 miles left here from Kentucky, and a lot of these guys using all of that room off of turn 4, nearly hitting the wall. And that's just really showing you how hard these guys have been trying to push. And this back half of the top 3 have really been bunched up together. Dakota Long kind of struggling on his tires, is backing up the 2 back to Jeff Maconi, and even back to Ryan Andrew. So these guys really now backing up, and we've got a battle here that could spread from second all the way to third. And here comes Jeff Maconi. Look to the inside of the number 2 of Howell, and now the Howell looks down to the inside of Dakota Long. Jeff backs out, and it's going to be side by side down the front stretch.
That when you see 2 guys racing that down in front of you side by side, you make sure you give yourself plenty of wiggle room in case it goes spinning. I reckon you want to not just drive through and arc a brake yourself if you can help it. Ask me, I would know. But Ryan Andrew also has some company too. Brett Robinson has caught up to him. Robinson started 6, has been quietly running inside the top 10 this entire race as they are watching the battle in front of them. Ricky Howe, though, barely takes the point by inches over Dakota Long. Dakota Long not going to get a run. Side draft off that quarter panel in the door of Ricky Howe. Howe has a position across line, but let me tell you, you're Nate Stewart, as these two are almost inches from bumping. You'd love to see it, as he's built now an over 3-second lead as we are 8 laps to go. But Ricky Howe is finally going to clear Dakota Long off of turn 2. But here comes Jeff Maconi trying to take a bite out of Long as well.
You know, as a leader, even as Nate, it's one thing to see these guys battling hard because it gives you more breathing room, but it also could result in a caution. So while you'd want to see these guys battling as hard as they are, coming to just a handful of laps to go, you also got to hope that they don't wreck, because a caution right now for Nate Stewart is going to bunch the field back up again. And while I think Nate could still pull a gap, it's certainly not the one that he has right now. Been leading almost every single lap of this race and has done an immense job to pull away from the field. But one thing that's not over yet is this battle between Jeff Maconi and Dakota Long. Ricky Howe was able to make the move stick out of turn number 4. Get a little bit of quarter panel rubbage from Dakota Long, but was able to clear him into 1. And Jeff Maconi hopes to do the same thing. Looks to the inside. It is now door-to-door with the 19. As he'll go door-to-door, entering turn number 1, using that bottom lane, absolutely ripping the paint, but he hits the apron and slides up. Now Jeff Maconi has to deal with the outside lane. They're all bump drafting together, something I never thought I'd see at Kentucky. And it looks like the 5 is going to push Dakota Long back past Jeff Maconi. Ryan Andrews sitting just in tow.
Now Ricky Howe has really pulled away now at 3, even 4/10 off of Dakota Long. As these three are going to be looking 3 wide, staggered off of turn 4. Brett Robinson, like I mentioned, has been a rocket ship this past couple laps. Easily got by Ryan Andrew, and now passes Dakota Long and Jeff Maconi 3 wide. But we got 4 trucks under a blanket. Maconi still looking on the bottom, ripping that paint. Can't quite make it sit, going slide up in front of Long, who's really falling back these last couple laps. Trying to rebound here late in the race. Ryan Andrew now looking to make a move on him. You see there off the back bumper of Maconi. But Ricky Howe in second, Brett Robinson third, round out the podium so far. Dakota Long, Jeffrey Maconi, and Ryan Andrew all chasing these 3 trucks, trying to steal a podium spot, as Nate Stewart still over 3 seconds.
Nate Stewart has been an unstoppable force so far this race. Absolutely untouchable by the rest of the field. And the positions as they were just about 2 laps ago in this battle here from 2nd to 5th has been absolutely swapped. The 5 that pushed Dakota Long past Jeff Maconi is now leading, and Dakota Long is behind both of the Maconi boys. And so that's the kind of racing you could see from Kentucky. You know, I didn't expect to see bump drafting, but Kentucky was a surprise on the schedule, and it's given us surprises in the race as well. Now it looks like Ricky Howe has started to pull a gap here on the 5, as well as Jeff Maconi trying to slot in just behind. This field has kind of spread out once more, and coming with just a handful of laps to go, you really got to wonder, how much time do you think they have to try and catch Ricky Howe for second?
I mean, only a couple of laps. You really want to, you know, if you saved anything in your tank, you really want to distinguish it now and see what you got. But Ricky Howe has easily checked out these last couple of laps, over half a second over Brett Robinson, and then a half-second gap to Maconi as well. As we got a caution. We are going to green and white checker territory. Nate Stewart is not going to like that one. As you see the Pepsi Mobile, that is 7 Crawford, is running inside the 15th position. And it's going to put us in green, white, checker territory. I was about to say, the entire field is single filed out for the most part. I don't think we're going to have a risk of a caution. And until that happens, so we're going to get a replay here. Nice second.
Commentator's curse brings out the yellow, something Nate Stewart absolutely did not want to see as he was going a lap away from taking the white flag. And that's just, you know, we went the entire race green. I thought it was going to be the only race this season that didn't have a yellow. We have a wreck in the back, and that brings out the caution for the first time and only time here tonight, as we're going to go on to eNASCAR overtime. We're going to go to a green, white, checkered. Nate Stewart, your leader. And that's something he didn't want to see. Had built a gap over 4.5 seconds. Had been an absolutely unstoppable force, and a yellow, an extremely late yellow, comes out. And I think if you're Nate Stewart, you have to pit. Doesn't matter who you are in the field. 40 laps on the tires is going to be absolutely degrading, and we've got a near spin. The 5 entering pit road, and I believe he went around. Not a clear picture, but I think the 5 too hard trying to fake pit road, and it looks like he just got loose on entry. And I believe he did spin around, and he finds himself nearing the mid-pack once again. And I believe, I don't even know if he's on pit road. He has to be. He passed the cone. So he has to find himself at the back of pit road, a last place starting spot. And a lot of these guys taking 2 tires, and Dakota Long going to be able, it's a nightmare pit stop for Nate Stewart, as he'll drop down to the 5th position, does not come close to winning the battle off of pit road. And this is exactly what Nate Stewart did not want to see. A lot of people taking 2 tires, and it might be a nightmare call.
Jonathan Evans has stayed out. So Jonathan Evans, you talked about him fading there towards the middle to late portion of the race, has decided to stay out. So that's going to leave him and Dylan Picklesmeyer, who was also running towards the back, stayed out as well. So it's those 2 on 40 lap old tires in the front row, Dakota Long, Cody Killer behind them in the second row on the freshies, and then Brett Robinson recovers, I believe, from that spin, which went, and I don't know what he was trying to do. I think he was trying to play around, fake a little bit, but He's only going to go down. He might have gotten a penalty. I'm not sure exactly what his plan was there, but he might have just been playing around and looked like he locked up the brakes on accident and just spun it. So, I mean, he didn't have any help. He just looped it on his own. That's going to really cost him here as he had pretty much everything but, bad finish sealed up. I mean, he was running third. So, not really sure what he was trying to do there. As it's Dakota Long, Cody Keller, Jeff Maconi, Ryan Andrew, and Nate Stewart, your top 5 on fresh tires, and Jonathan Evans and Dylan Pickwitsmeyer there on the front row. So these two haven't really been out front all night, so it's going to be exciting. Dylan qualified 19th. He was the slowest qualifier. So he says, you know what, it's top speed action. We're going for it. We have one green white checker, so we do get a caution that will end the race. I'm sure that's what both these drivers are hoping for, and Nate Stewart, let me tell you, is not happy.
I can tell you right now, as a leader, having a caution come out and then getting it wrong on the pit strategy has to be one of the worst feelings ever. As you drop back after leading all of this time, you find yourself in 7th position after being an unstoppable force and leading all of the race up to this point. Yeah, you really got to wonder what goes through a guy's head after that happens. And, it's a real head scratcher for me up front. 40 laps on the tires at Kentucky really does a number. We were seeing guys searching for grip on the different lanes, and staying out is an interesting call. We've got a mix of no tires, 2 tires. I believe Nate Stewart's the first on 4. So as the number on his door says, takes 4 tires and ends up 7th. But does it prove to have enough of a competitive advantage to where he finds himself driving through the rest of this field? We're going to find out. Green and white checkered attempt, eNASCAR overtime, as we're in the Geico restart zone. And it's a great start for our leader, and they're wrecking already. We didn't even make it across the start-finish line, and they've already wrecked. No yellow trouble. We are still green. Nate Stewart, bottom of 4 wide, 3 rows back. And Nate Stewart's going to get loose and slide up the track. He's going to save it. Absolutely impeccable save by Nate Stewart. Jeff Maconi is going to find himself in the 2nd position on 2 tires, as well as Ricky Howe, and he tries to make the dive, and he's going to go around, and he's going to make an insane 3-wide pass, 2 for the 1 in the corner, and Joey Meschewitz goes around, and there is the yellow flag, and it seems race is over. Ricky Howe with an insane move in turn 4. He's able to clinch the win. And as we've got wrecking all throughout the pack, the yellow finally comes to the end. The next flag ended the race, and it's going to end under yellow. What would have been a fantastic race for Nate Stewart to win leads to heartbreak. Led every single lap of the race up until the point of the caution, and it was an absolute heartbreaker for the 4. I don't know what was going on here between the 12 and the 19 to wreck. Literally before we didn't even pass the start-finish when they wrecked. They wrecked across the start-finish, and one has to wonder what's going through the minds there.
Let me tell you, Jonathan Evans was beyond excited when he saw that one. I mean, you got guys on old tires up front, and I don't know if we just spun those old rear tires, just to try and be overly defensive, but unfortunately, Dakota Long started first, is coming home in dead last. 21st position there, Dakota Long in the 19 on screen. But that, I don't think, expected or went the way anyone did. As Ricky Howe going to win this one. Jonathan Evans, old tire strategy, plays out, works out for him, brings home 7th. Jeffrey Maconi actually ended up getting 3rd over Ryan Andrew, and Joe Berge is going to bring it home in 5th. So Nate Stewart, let me tell you, not happy at all on the radio, as he had that thing everything but locked up and will end up in the 11th position.
Absolute heartbreak for Nate Stewart. But one to steal it away in a walk-off win, Ricky Howe makes an insane 3-wide pass move around the outside of turn 3 at Kentucky. The Grinch stole the Christmas, and he stole the race win. And the first day of the new year, welcome in 2024, and there's already a walk-off win for the S.O.F race. Ricky Howe's going to burn it down, and he absolutely stole the win. We celebrate Ricky Howe stealing Christmas and stealing the win, and we'll be right back after this short break. We'll see you right after the break.
When you want to be the best, you can't settle for the rest. For anything on iRacing, there's just one name you need, Maconi.
With the launch of Maconi Entertainment and Maconi Competizone alongside Maconi Setup Shop, we now provide the best of the best in setups, paint schemes, coaching, broadcasting, and event organization.
With cars across all 4 license classes, we have what you need to hit the track with confidence. Grab a subscription and save money while going fast at MaconiSetupShop.com/subscriptions.
And remember, at Maconi Setup Shop, there are setups, but your victories.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Well, an exciting finish from a not-so-exciting race here in Kentucky. It was an absolute barn burner of a finish to lead us under caution. Ricky Howell Jr., who stole Christmas and steals the win in a walk-off on a 3-wide pass move out of turn number 4, made the pass when it mattered, right as the caution came out. Next flag ended the race, and he stole away the win over Jonathan Evans, and Jeff Maconi finds himself third. Then it's Ryan Andrew, Joe Berge, Chuck Sweeting, Laurie Edinger, Dakota Stahl, Devin Jesnick, Garrett Heisterkamp there, who rounds out that 10th position. Nate Stewart, after leading almost every lap up till the point of caution. Real heartbreaker there, as he was looking to go for an absolutely unstoppable win, finds himself 11th, just 10 numbers down from what his number says, and the rest of this field didn't finish on the lead lap. You know, as unfortunate as it was for Nate Stewart, he looked like an unstoppable powerhouse throughout this entire race, brought down by the mighty caution that we didn't think was going to happen, and he didn't want to see it at all. We're going to get to talk with the man who finished third, the man who's able to put this all on for us, Jeff Maconi. You came home with an absolutely stellar P3 at the end of that. And we were talking to you earlier before this race started. You didn't really have high hopes, and you come home third on the podium after an exciting race. What are your thoughts after tonight's race here?
I'm so mad at myself. I absolutely 2 times I threw it away. I would have had second if there was no caution and I didn't lift too much in turn 1 when I was under Dakota. And then on that last lap, I was like, I should go high. He's going to block bottom. No matter which way I was going to go, he was going to block me because he stayed out on old tires. But I went low, and Ricky went to the top and sent it like a madman, and he made it work. And I'm kicking myself. I'm thrilled that I got P3. Don't get me wrong. I was not expecting to finish as well as I did, but I'm just so mad at myself. I should have sent it harder there and made sure he couldn't block me in 3 and 4. But good win to Ricky. He's always interesting to race around, and he had a really good battle with Dakota. I was trying to take advantage of it, but I'm pretty happy with P3 and surviving.
Tell you what, I was not expecting a pass for the win on a walk-off right as the caution comes out again. And I'm just still in shock that move worked. 3 wide at Kentucky running the top. You don't see that every day. I mean, I'm surprised that he sent it as hard as he did, and the fact that he stuck and was able to clear both of you, a 2-for-1 on the top for the win and a walk-off is insane. A way to open up the new year for iRacing, and it brings up a great place for you. Come home in third. What do you think are some of the points that you could have done better on in this race, and what will lead us into next race, into next week?
Well, I definitely all the mistakes that I made were just mental mistakes. I shouldn't have, I would underdrive it instead of trusting myself to do it right. And, I would get in there. I'm like, I don't know if I can get it to stick. And instead of even trying it, I would back out. So I definitely got to drive it a little bit harder, be a little more confident, I think, because I know I can run up and race with these guys and have fun. Next week, we're racing at Rockingham, which is one of my worst tracks. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, I'm really happy. I got to thank Maconi Setup Shop, Maconi Entertainment. You guys always do an awesome job with these broadcasts, and love the work that the whole team behind us here puts in. It's phenomenal to see. eNASCAR iRacing, got to always thank them. The Sim Racing Movie of Bruzy Racewear, WSMN Broadcasting, and I think everyone here will thank Ron, the snack guy. He is always taking really good care of us. So thank you to him as well for always being as supportive as he is. And on to Rockingham, and I'm personally really looking forward to Willow Springs the week after. That is going to be a lot of fun doing a road course there.
That's going to be an interesting race to see, no doubt. And on to next week, Rockingham, too. You mentioned that. That's sure to be an interesting race to see on a super old surface with new machinery. That could go so many different ways. Well, thank you so much for your time, Jeff. And you came home in third. Great finish for you. And thank you so much for your time.
Thank you guys as well. Good job out there.
Well, Jeff Maconi will finish third. Next week, you heard him mention, we're going to Rockingham, one of the oldest surfaces that we still have on the service. And it's going to be an absolutely interesting race to see with the newest machinery that we have to offer on some of the oldest surface that we still have lying around. Week 5, Rockingham, sure to be a great one. Now, Brighton, we saw it was an interesting race on pure skill. We saw one of the most spread out fields here from tonight, and I think it was going to be an interesting one too as well. Going on to next week, what are your thoughts heading into Rockingham?
I mean, Rockingham's such a unique track. It's unlike almost any other track that these drivers have driven on or even go to on the schedule, so I'm sure it's going to be real exciting to see who makes the most of it. Talk about skill and talk about survival being the name of the game for most of these races. I'm sure we'll see that come into play heavily next week, as that is definitely going to be a barn burner to watch.
Well, now that we're coming to wrap up tonight's S.O.F. race here from Kentucky, it sure was a good one to watch there. It's a lot different than the rest of the season has been so far. Been an absolutely great race to see. It's nice to see a spread out race once in a while. Pack racing is cool and all, but really seeing who has the skill to whip around the truck the fastest around a track really kind of shows. Heartbreaker for Nate Stewart, as he will come home just in the 11th position after leading every lap up to the yellow flag. And it absolutely was a barn burner of a finish, and we'll see what happens next week. It's been an absolute pleasure being here for Maconi Entertainment, and it's been great. Next E-Fix broadcast, Week 5, 24, Season 1 at Rockingham, January 8th at 7:15 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you to race sponsor Maconi Setup Shop. Those are broadcast partner Maconi Entertainment and Maconi Competizone. Calling the action tonight was myself, Alexander Balderas, alongside Brighton Laster in the booth with DJ Lion producing. Thank you for all of our viewers tonight for watching tonight's racing action, and you hope you stay tuned in to all of our social media pages for the next race. Thanks to the entire staff for doing their work, and bringing all of this racing to you. This has been a production of Maconi Entertainment, and we'll see you at the next checkered flag. Good night, everybody.